Okay, so this is just a behind the scenes video of me structuring my first novel. So what happened, super sad, I was, I wrote this novel back in 2019, I believe, so about 6 years ago, but I had, my hard drive got corrupted. And I had it backed up on my Google Drive, but I went and was trying to organize that. And basically, I lost the book. My very first novel got completely erased, and I was super bummed out. Um, so I've decided to rewrite it, and I'm going to rewrite it. Oh, this is behind the scenes, guys, uncut. So basically, going to take you through my process. So I already wrote out the first chapter, and I'm actually kind of happy I did because I decided one of the things is I was having an issue is understanding what her fundamental plight was. Because I mean, there's some things she does throughout the book, but there's no core motivation for Tracy. She just kind of gets caught up into something and is going with it. And I really solved that by giving her a core issue. So her core motivation is this thing that I call the distortion. It's really cool. And I just wrote the first chapter, and it solved that motivation problem. So it was really cool, actually. It's kind of awesome to kind of rewrite the book. And then I'm remembering key scenes, obviously, from the first time I wrote it, because I wrote the entire bloody thing. It was about 80,000 words. And I trimmed it down. So I'm shooting for a mid-grade novel. So I'm shooting for 55,000 to 65,000 words. Target demographic will be 13 plus. But the series in general will age up. I eventually want to finish it in like pretty strong YA. But the idea is that it's kind of like to be like Harry Potter, like it grows, right? So Tracy Thatcher is about this girl who suffers from this thing called the distortion, where when she's not able to focus on something, her mind will just slip. And if you ever saw that movie Click, basically what happens is her mind will just fast forward to events, and she'll just miss whole aspects of her life, and she doesn't remember, and she just goes into autopilot, right? And she starts suffering from this for about 3 months, but there's a lot of validation and good things coming to her because when she is awake, like actually able to be with people, they seem all really happy with her process or whatever, but it does feel like something else is like living her life for her. So she starts to get really scared about that. So on one end, she is kind of struggling with this idea of I'm not really living my life, but people seem to like me more now as a result of that. But she struggles with this distortion, and she's just basically witnessing her life, and she's losing parts of it, and it's moving really, really fast. So she's basically has what feels like a couple days in her head, but she's passed and lived 3 months of her life, and her life is beginning to feel very warped and distorted, and she's starting to have it's like a mental illness thing. So what happens is that's what's happening in the first chapter, but she started to realize to get around the distortion, she has to pick up these little hints along the way, and it's been leading her down this, what she calls the scavenger trail, and she just focuses, and she finds out that if she focuses on certain things, she's able to stay in the moment longer until she loses it, and then she falls back into the distortion. And then that happens until she has to do a book report. So Tracy's 13 years old, and she's just started 8th grade, and she has to do a book report, and she decides to do her book report on Bram Stoker's Dracula. She goes to the library, and there she meets a wizard named Orland, and Orland basically takes a bunch of books and things from the library, and he goes goosebumps on it, and he summons a bunch of these monsters and things out of it in the awakening. And what happens is Tracy needs to Tracy comes because she wants to get the Dracula book, because that's what's enabling her to get out of the distortion when she thinks about Dracula. And so she goes to get the book because she's just trying to end the distortion because it's making her feel like she's going crazy. And she just wants to end it, right? And she feels like Dracula's the key. Then there's an awakening, and then what happens is Orlin dies during the awakening because a bunch of these people, government people, in black glasses and suits and stuff come by, the men in black. They come, and she finds out that in fact the men in black is not the men in black, but the Magical Investigation Bureau. And they're kind of like the men in black, but obviously for magic, and instead of like sci-fi stuff. So then what happens is she goes to the Magical Investigation Bureau, and she gets hired as a monster catcher because during the awakening, Orland hid himself inside of a ring, his soul inside of a ring, and that ring is the only thing that can capture those monsters back. And obviously the Magical Investigation Bureau wants to clean all this up, but they're not able to do it without her. So she gets this ring called the Rembrandt, and basically she has to keep it. And when she has the Rembrandt on, they're pretty sure it's killing her, but she begins to have less distortion. And that leads to her meeting her first monster, Buckwing. But when she tries to use the Rembrandt to put Buckwing, who is a dragon, inside of the ring, he obeys her and follows her without needing it. And with Buckwing around, she has perfect non-distortion. So she keeps him around, and then the agent, she gets a bodyguard agent who's there to help her capture other monsters. And their first monster is this monster called Arachnia, who is this spider at the school who's been hiding around and kind of doing mysterious things and creating chaos at the school. I need to do some foreshadowing for Arachnia, probably in the earlier chapters, because I do move quite quickly into her plot and we don't get into the school. In my original draft, I definitely had more of a lead up with the school and there's more characterization. But so I'm going to have to rewrite it there. I'm hoping there's a way to recover the hard drive so I can take things that worked in my old draft, take this new draft, put them together, and get like an ultimate draft. But if not, yeah, my goal right now is just to plow through each of these chapters. So there's 17 to 22 core chapters that I have. And the idea is that I'm going to put those chapters together, line them up. And then the idea is then after having those chapters stacked up, my goal is to get, I don't think it'll be 80,000 words. I think just with the 17 to 22, it'll probably be closer to 65,000 words. And then what I'm going to do is about 15,000 words of filler just to make it better, because I like to definitely add words. Then after I add words and I feel like it's strong, then I'm going to bring it back down to 65,000. And my goal to do all this is hopefully by the end of September. So it's August 1st now, so in about 60 days. So my goal is in about 60 days, I should be able to write this whole book out and then fill in the words and then minnow it out. So I just work on each chapter. So today I just write one chapter every single day. And because I've written this book, I know essentially what needs to happen, but there's still a lot of different aspects of it. And I really just like putting out the bare bones of each of these chapters, like writing them out, getting it done in a day, and just writing all the chapters out because I know what chapters need to be written out. And then after that, going through the novel and seeing what works and what isn't. But because the biggest thing is right now I'm just trying to get everything out. So that story is she gets Arachnia, she meets Agent 1 actually before. Well, she meets Agent 1, who's the original agent. It's the girl that starts going to her school. And Agent 1 is this witch who started the Magical Investigation Bureau, and she's like 400 years old, but she still has the body of a 13-year-old girl because she got her age stopped when she was sacrificed to this like abandoned god. And you don't know it, but she actually has this. So actually, I won't spoil this, obviously, if you want to read the book or whatever. Basically a 15-year-old girl that can age, posing as a 12-year-old or 13-year-old so that she could go to class with them. They get Arachnia, and then Tracy figures out she's really rich because of a miscommunication about her wage in this book when she started to get paid. So because of a miscommunication, now she is making way more money. So she takes this kid out on a date, and then while out on the date, there's an attack from the main baddie of the book, who's Dracula. Dracula's the main bad guy of the book, right? He attacks the mall with him and St. George's Dragon. I don't know if you guys know the story of St. George's, but St. George's Dragon is the other main protagonist of this book, which is called Tracy Thatcher, Monster Catcher's Son of the Dragon. And then after that, the mall attack happens. Then I got a training montage where she's got to figure out how to become stronger because the mall attack was a total mess. And she has a fallout with Buckwing, and then she uses Arachnia to capture her third monster, which is Cerberus. And then they get what's called an enhanced spell. And then while using that spell, a bunch of things happen. Dracula ends up capturing Tracy, and basically tries to take her out. But Buckwing comes to the rescue, and he was able to get her back. And then they find out that there's this ritual thing going on at school, and so she goes back to her school, and there's like a big final battle with her, Buckwing, and St. George's Dragon, and she uses that enhanced spell to basically evolve Buckwing. So the idea behind Tracy Thatcher Monster Catcher was like, what if I took Pokemon and Harry Potter and mixed it into like a modern day universe? And that's basically what it is. And so basically she evolves it, and that's the stuff. And so I'm just talking to you guys how I'm outlining. I don't even know if this video is any useful. I'm just gonna put it behind the scenes or whatever, like on a Patreon thing or whatever. But yeah, hopefully this is of some value to you guys, because I've written the book before, so I know what all the chapters are going to be, and I generally know what I want to be here. The general theme of the book is on pride, and a lot of it is about Tracy learning to find joy again, because that's what keeps her from distorting. Is learning to have joy, and having Buckwing in her life keeps her from distorting. You figure out why she's distorting in book 3, but right now she just distorts. It's the bad thing that happens to her, and she's trying to keep it from happening, and that's her main motivation. And then the Rembrandt and Buckwing keep her from distorting, and when she denies that, she begins to distort really badly, and then has a bunch of nightmares. Because that's a really good idea, actually, is that when she distorts after Dracula release, he begins to attack her in her nightmares, and she begins to have like these really bad nightmares. So that basically is a way to bully her into helping the agency, and then she gets paid a lot. So yeah, and obviously I'm going to mix up the chapters as I keep writing them. I don't know what's necessarily going to happen because I'm changing the book, but I do remember these 4 chapters and the big parts of them that all happens because I've written the book before. So yeah, I think I should be able to write the first draft, do a secondary edit, and then bring it back down to 65. And I think by 60 days I should be able to have it done at the beginning of October, ready to do that. Because so one of the biggest things I decided is that when I'm done with it, right after this, I'm gonna begin trying to sell and find an agent with this book. Because before I would always talk about it, and I had a bunch of books, and I think losing the hard drive told me, because I've written, I finished 10 books. I've written about 13, but a few of them are just first drafts, like I wouldn't count it, but 10 that I was like publishable. I self-published 7 of them. Well, no, I've self-published 6 of them, right? I guess technically 7. But 4 of them, 3 or 4, depending on how you count, were just sitting and not doing anything. And my first novel was one of them. And I felt like it was a much stronger outing for my very first novel. And it was a bummer to lose it. And so now I'm committed to just finishing the damn thing and like getting it done. I have another novel that I'm working on that I'll be working on after this. But obviously, I'm going to be doing a novel and getting The Girl and the Beast out and doing some of those novels as well. Because hopefully, I can finish this before Halloween. Because after Halloween, I have a project that I want to do. So that's it. This is how I outlined Tracy Thatcher, Monster Catcher, Son of the Dragon. Hopefully, this video will be cool or useful. But it's really just for posterity's sake. Legacy. It's a legacy item. This is a legacy item. So who cares? Yeah, Tracy Thatcher, Son of the Dragon. Let's go. Peace.